Hello, everybody. Good to see some very familiar faces here this evening, or familiar names, I would say. Um, Merry Christmas to everybody. It's nice to take some time off the festivities. I mean, of course, it still continues, but yeah, like actual munching of rice and chicken and stuff, and to just be here to share, to learn, to converse with one another, and to just have a good time all together. So welcome once again to RAEY Summit 2.0. I remember last year when the RAEY Summit started, RAEY Summit 1.0 version 1.0. It was amazing. I remember having speakers. Adura had speakers like Jimmy Tewe. There was Mojibade Soshayan. It was a really amazing thing, to be a part of. There was a lot of nuggets being shared, leadership panels, and I really did have a good time. And I thought it was something that provided so much value to people, especially wrapping up one year and then entering into the turn of a new one. So of course, yeah, here we are again, at the end of 2025, about to enter into 2026. So I would just say welcome, 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 welcome. Alrighty, so I'll just encourage us to please, if you can share this Zoom link to your WhatsApp status or anywhere, maybe somebody who you know that will receive value from this session, you can as well share with them. I've done well to share my WhatsApp status because I know it's going to be, power packed, especially knowing the session that we have that is about to come up, the panel session, it's something that I am actually geared for because I want to hear what, the panelists have to share, seeing faces like Presley, Elizabeth, Kende, I know that I'm not to expect less. So please go ahead, share this link with your contacts, share with people that you know need to be here, and then let's kick it off. All right. Alrighty. I'm not going to be the only one speaking here, right? I just need to know, let's just do a little vibe check, right? Can you just put in the chat box how you feel this evening? Could be a smiley, a confetti, anything that just describes how you feel this evening. All right. This is feeling really cool. I love it. 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 Thank you so much. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Princess Samuel. How are you guys feeling? All right. That's how I feel. I'm feeling all smiley, all excited. I see Candace share the confetti earlier on. I think you're still partying, yeah? Okay. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. Hoping to see you real soon too. Okay. Okay. Edu, are we good back end? Okay, I think we still need like more people to join before we can kick it off because it's not going to be sweet. We need it to be sweet. So let's just do well to invite a few of our friends. It would be nice if we're like, up to, I don't want to mention the numbers, but a few more numbers up. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Alrighty. So let's get into the deal for the evening so that we won't waste one another's time. We know we're still in the nick of festivities, so we could just go ahead and have fun with our families and friends. All right. So I'm just going to welcome the convener of the RAEY Summit to go ahead and just give us a welcome address before we jump into other matters. So, ladies and gents, please let us make welcome Adura for a welcome address.
All right, all right. Welcome everyone to the RAEY Summit 2.0. I'm sure wherever you're joining us from, You already know what to expect. You already know what it holds. Of course, our what we are talking about this year is Unveiling 2026, the unseen preparation of heroes. And just to give you, a simple background to this, basically, everyone on earth, every human on earth, you're an hero. And what that means is that what you do, how you do the things you do, are what makes you the hero that you are. So hero, the superheroes, you see in the movie and all of that, they are fictional, but the real heroes are, we the human. So even the heroes have human, they are acted by humans. So yes, what the RAEY Summit 2025 promises us is that it will bring out the necessity for us to know that we are heroes. We are heroes. And of course, people are joining these, right on Zoom and even on YouTube, many more on YouTube. And of course, there will be other people who will be watching it, online. And as you know, just to give you a backstory of why, the RAEY Summit exists, it was in 2013. Yes, I think it was 2013. I mean 2023. Yes, I went to an event. It was Alibaba, Alibaba concert. The comedian Alibaba concert, and I was so glad that people could turn up for an event on January 1st, to attend a comedy show. I never knew what was coming to me. And while, I enjoyed that, I enjoyed the comedy show, I stayed through, all through the night, 2024, by August or so, there is a prompting that started, coming to my spirit. And that was what bettered the RAEY Summit. Yeah. So if you look at the word RAEY, if you flip the word year, it means RAEY. And that is what RAEY simply means. So yeah, RAEY Summit. So what we are doing at RAEY Summit each time we gather is that we come in, and then we get to flip the year over. So, and it's a 2-day experience. First Saturday of the year, I mean, last Saturday of the year, and of course, the first day of the new year. So what that gives us is the opportunity for us to, think through how we've spent, our last year, 2025 now, and then it should keep us in that mind for the next 3 to 4 days that, the year will be wrapping up, to think about how we want 2026, to be like. So yes, this year, a little bit different from last year. We won't be having a keynote speech, this year. Last year it was, by Jimmy Tewe, yes, the very renowned Jimmy Tewe. But this year, it's kind of a twist. What we are doing this year is conversational. We are having 3 speakers, who will be coming in on panel session today, to tell us what it really looks like to, be to be an hero. All of these people on the panel, they have all been with people who you and I, we call top heroes. We are not, little heroes. We are all heroes. What they have done differently is that they've been able to maximize what they have, the relationship they have, the stages they have, to, more project their influence. So all of these people, they've met diverse people, even the movie stars that you see, they've met them, and they know how these people think. They know how they've heard the backstory of, of how they grew, and that is what, they will be sharing from us, and not just, from what they've experienced in terms of meeting people, but them themselves, they've lived, an heroic life, and they are sharing what it is, to be an hero. So yes, I think that is the background to all of this. Again, share the link for people to join in, and even they can also rewatch this. Yes, it would be live, it's live right now on YouTube. So people can actually still use the link, you used to join to, rewatch it by tomorrow. So yes, I think that is it for the RAEY Summit. And I promise it's going to be a good one. Of course, whoever know our panelists, you will know these people. They are very conversational. They are thought, they say things that are thought provoking. In fact, the person who will be leading, will be moderating this panel discussion, Presley, if you've experienced him in conversation, you will know what it means for him to really talk through things. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to RAEY Summit 2.0, Unveiling 2026, the unseen preparation of heroes. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much, Adora. I think
Over
it's
to
going to
the
be.
host. And of course, thank you, our host, Anekan, for doing this. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Adora. Thank you. Thank you for putting this together. Thank you for also giving us a background, like in a nutshell of what we are to expect here. This is where we let our confettis out, our reactions and everything, if we are ready to dive in. Yeah. Thank you so very much. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okie dokes. Okie dokes. Okie dokes. Ladies and gents. All right. So are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready to jump in? Are we ready to jump in? Are we breathing in and breathing out nicely? Do we have our notes ready to, take down some very key points? Or, in this generation, I mean, we can use the AI note taker application, of course. Do you have water by your side to hydrate? Do you have like some air blowing you so that you are relaxed and feeling cool throughout the session? All right. Elizabeth says she's ready. I see the thumbs up. Okay, okay. I am ready myself. I think I just need to get, cold water by my side. Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. So right about now, I'm going to bring up our first panelist to, speak. Just share from the heart what hero making is. When I thought about this session, my mind went to some of the hero movies that I've seen in past times. In the last few years, the one that really comes to mind is the what's this movie that is Wakanda? Black Panther, actually. The one that came to mind is the Black Panther. I also thought about Spider-Man, of course, when I was a kid, we're very versed with Spider-Man. And then Wonder Woman and all of those movies, I thought about how heroes always just save the day. There's always like a mission to accomplish. There's always something that needs to be cracked, and then nobody else can do it. And then somebody just steps in, somebody, well, the hero in quotes, just steps in and saves the day. And everybody's like, oh my God, how did that happen? So I guess that's the core and the focal point of this. Like, how people from nowhere, well, from somewhere, because they were hidden before. Nobody knew, nobody saw them coming. I mean, they had been preparing for that, dying moments that something needed to be accomplished. Yeah. I thought about how all of this, how people just step into their different roles in society, in community to just save the day and to just bring and turn on light in different aspects, of the world. So yeah, that's what came to mind. And like Adura said, I'm sure that each of us, we are heroes in the making. And tonight we just have some few heroes here. Well, who will be sharing with us? And I'm just going to introduce the first hero in the making to take us through, what it has been for her, um, to share from the heart, share what our experiences have been, and also like something to take home to everybody who is listening, of what to expect or how to prepare to enter into the new year. Yeah. And of course, when I say her, I'm sure that we all know who that person is. I'm just going to go through her profile for a bit and then I will call her up. So Elizabeth Musa is a Pan-African story shaper, cultural narrative moderator. She's a broadcast strategist and multi-industry influencer. She has expertise in public speaking, journalism research, TV production, video production, and live event presenting. Her work focuses on elevating African narrative, guiding meaningful conversations, crafting impactful TV, radio, and video content, and bridging media events and leadership to leave lasting impacts across sectors. Her top skills are public speaking, video production, TV production, journalism, research, leadership, communication, teamwork, writing, project management, live events, team building. I'm sure if you have been in any of our events, you would attest to all of this. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please let us make welcome Elizabeth Musa.
Hey, let me clap for everyone. Let me clap for myself and then let me also clap for you. And I can thank you so much. I hope everyone can hear me. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much for having me on RAEY Summit 2.0. They always say this thing, it's not cliche to be honest, when they say, when speakers go and say, oh, wait, was it me you were introducing? Honestly, that's how I feel because I'm like, really? Like, I'm not really like about this dramatic life, but I mean, thank you so much for the introduction. Anik, and I must say you also have a very lovely voice. It was really lovely listening to you from start to this point. And let me go ahead and recognize all the amazing people that are on this panel. I'd like to recognize my leader, my very own leader. We come a long way. I'd like to recognize Presley Ademola Adewale Presley, I recognize Hugh, as well as Kehinde, Augustine. These are my leaders. So these are like people that I've learned a lot from and I'm still learning from, just how they've been able to exemplify leadership in different capacities. Presley, not just at work, Presley in church, Presley as a friend, as a brother. I know so many times Presley always calls me like, it feels like Liz, but that one is our personal, what's it called? Our own personal brother and sister, what's it called? You know how you have your own issues. And then Kenny, thank you so much for being a brother. I'm just acknowledging all of these people because it's amazing to see, I mean, people that you know personally and you've grown with and you're seeing them on panels. Like I didn't even know they were going to be on this panel. So I feel privileged to be speaking alongside them. And also I'd like to say well done to Adura. Adura is someone I really admire. Right from when I met Adura, I've just seen Adura as this young mind that is always looking forward to the next big thing. I see Adura as the next big thing. In fact, the present big thing, but the future is really bright for Adura. So well done on putting this together. It's virtual today. Tomorrow it will be a full-on summit that's physical. People will be gathering from different parts of the world for this summit. So well done. Well done to you, Adura. And again,
Thank
well done to you.
you.
Well done to everyone. So where do I start from really? Can you just give me an outline of what you'd like me to talk about so then I don't veer off the path and I don't go like precisely. So, and how many minutes do I have?
Oh, yes, you have about 8 minutes. Just tell us the background of what the preparation to the hero you are now is, and the discipline, and the things you have to really do to become what you are now. Yeah.
That's assuming that I've become, but yes, thank you so much,
You
Adura.
are.
I see everyone as still becoming. I see myself as still becoming. And I think that's what makes me who I am today because I'm constantly looking to be better. I'm constantly learning from people, for instance, on this panel, I'm really looking forward to listening to every other person. I feel like it's a setup that you guys put me as the first person, because then the first person always doesn't have any foundation. But it's pretty much like my story. I'll be honest with you. I've always like been the first person. Like I've always been that person coincidentally to be like the guinea pig for, like we'll say guinea pig, like the person that, begins stuff, then people now run along with. And I think that's something to actually to to be proud of, right? I started out, right, pretty much a long time ago. So when we talk about being a hero now, I think all of us are heroes, right? We are heroes. Every single one of us, we're heroes. There's still people that I look up to and I'm constantly learning from. So at the time I started off in preparation to be the hero, like you said, it's about a journey of constantly being open to learning. So when I was in school, one thing I learned that from my sister. She taught me the concept of volunteering, right? So um, I think I'm really privileged to come from like a family of people that are really grounded. So she said to me, I don't think anybody will ever turn you down if you volunteer for stuff, because people are looking for free stuff. And I learned that. So when I was in the university, I interned in the TV and radio station all through my years in school. At that time, this is like 10 years ago. At that time, they used to call me celeb in my class. I was also like very active on Twitter then. So I made use of my social media. At that time, people didn't even really understand how to use Twitter. Even until now, many people didn't know how to use Twitter. So it was like a big deal then. So then I used to I built relationships from that time. I owned my skills. It was like what they call raw talent. So the first opportunity I had on radio, and I grabbed it with everything in me. Then it was Sydney Shocker. So then it's like I've been learning, what we call radio rat, radio, just being that person putting call logs, queuing music and all of that. So Sydney Shocker then said to me that evening, he said to me, can you handle the shift? I need to go somewhere. Can you do the and I'm like, yes, I can, because that's the thing with watching and learning, and just being prepared. So I'm going to use someone in the secular industry as an example. For instance, Ashake, people say he was prepared, prepared for the platform he has now. Yes, that's true. So he said to me, "Oh, are you able to handle the show?" And I said, "Sure, sure, sure." And I mean, how many minutes? Just a few minutes, I don't require the music. It's just to speak. I mean, it's just to speak. It's something that I've been watching, something I've been ready for. So there's this thing they say about when preparation meets opportunity. So I did it. And then the station manager listened, because how they always listening to for quality control, and it was like, oh, who's that young lady that spoke? And then they said it was me, or the lady that interns, that the young girl, at that time, this the young girl that interns, like the young, oh really, I've been seeing her. People then see you, people are just seeing you, they don't know like your potential, they don't know how much you can do. So you just need to stay ready, so that when the opportunity comes, you don't flop. And there's also something about being available at the time, so the station manager was like, why can't she definitely should do more, like if she's open to it, but then I was in school, so like every opportunity I got, i I took the opportunities head on. I was very reliable at that time. Like when you're a young person, you have a lot of time on your hands. I believe in, when you have time on your hands, make yourself useful for the people around you. So, and that was it. So I remember back then I made a lot. So now these days, like I feel like I know so many people, and people think, oh, like when did you start? Where do you know these people? But that's the thing. It's only on platforms like this you get to hear, because I've like built these relationships from a long time ago. At that time, I was working with the likes of Michael Koche. Now myself and Michael Koche were like fellows on a fellowship, and that's how small the world is. But people have seen, they've seen your work ethic, you've seen your background, they've seen how you've grown. These are the people that speak for me in places that, like, oh, this, people are wondering, but do you guys work together? I don't know when you work with this person, but they don't know. It's like a long time and a track record. So I mean, this is free to say. At that time, when I was an intern we often see Nifemi Ogutoye on TVC. He was a copper then, himself and his wife. They were both coppers. They were handling something called Copper's Corner, right? They were doing a show called Copper's Corner. And again, one thing I would like to say about building yourself for the Euro UI is also relationship building. They were building this, they were doing their show, but I had a good relationship with them. And then many years down the line, intern, they were couples, then they've grown now. Like these days, I would see like a Nifemi on TVC. I'm so proud of him. And there is also me, and as life will also have it, we've come together on different platforms that have also brought us together again. And then you see recommendations here and there, or opportunities open up here. I recommend this person here. I say, oh, I've worked with him at this time. People are like, which time did you work in TV? They don't know the story. And then same goes for him as well. So on the journey is just being available, making yourself available to the people around you, learning. I say that all of these people, I saw the talent that they had, and I always made myself open to learning from them, and then the people will come to tell me that they were also learning from me. That's the part I really always find baffling, because I'm like, really, what are you learning? But one thing I've heard consistently is, oh, maybe like um resilience. Okay, how like you just show resilience, you show consistency. And I said something about having to be incidentally, like when I came back after service, when I was in service as well, I was also doing, like, I was also a core member, and I was a core member. I worked with the orientation broadcast service. In that place, I also made my mark. So, coming back to Calabar, like to city, it was like people already knew me at that time. Also, I built like relationships, the likes of Euro Daniels and all of that. We were serving together. And then you come back to Lagos, you're like, oh, trying to come to in that time, I'm like, okay, am I coming back to media, right? Because that's what I want to do. That's the heart of what I want to do. But I don't like to stay idle, right? And one thing I would like to say here, and one thing I believe all of us should know, is that no knowledge is wasted in everything I find myself in. I was saying to my neighbor like a few days ago that anything I'm doing, I put a stamp to it. I make it, I don't know, it's just a gift. I make it really attractive, and then people want to do it, and people then do it, and they're like, "Ah, man, I didn't know this thing was this tough," right? But there's that thing about everything I do, I put my heart into it. So it looks really enjoyable. You're not seeing the downside, you're not seeing the dark side of it. I just make it work, completely work for as short or as long as it might be. Do you understand? The tough side of it is between me and my close friends, me and my family members. And that's also the good thing about having a support system, right? These are the people that get to hear all of the gist. Or platforms like this, when I feel like I feel comfortable enough to share, right? So that's something. So I found myself always like pioneering stuff. So when I got back, I'm like, okay, I got an opportunity in an insurance company, and I tell you, that's like the best gift ever, because I got all my corporate people. The media space is often not so, it's not so structured. I'll be honest with you. Like if you're so having a background from a corporate setting just sets you up real good, and it's something I'll like recommend to anyone. If we're trying to choose or what to do, if we're picking, right? So I started out, and I think that was the best gift ever. So I started out in an insurance company, and I made it work so much. In that time, I got like 2 awards, right? Very short time, but I was a diamond performer then, because I had to put myself out, made use. Again, I understand the use of understand the use of the impact, or the essence rather, of leveraging your network, right? People see the passion. I I'm not one of the people that believe that people will say things like, oh, people don't really want to help you. But you know what I've realized in my journey? I've realized that people are actually looking to help you. They just want you to start. They just want you to put yourself out there. They just want you to say this thing and they'll follow you. I say it because of every single thing I've seen in my journey. Like every time I've shied away and then I mention things to people like, I wish you had said this thing to me. And I've realized that every single point in time when I decided to put myself out, it's like people had been waiting. You know, the Bible even said that the creation is earnestly waiting, right? For for um for us, right? For the exploits that we're going to do. And that's what I've seen. So I'm not looking at people like, oh, people are not going to help, because people actually want to. So when I was in insurance, then I, like you to please support me. I hope everyone can hear me. Like I would like you to please support me. I'm in this now. Can you please, I need you to insure your, even if it's 12 people in your company, even if it's one of your cars, even if it's, people will say, I don't listen to naysayers. People will say things like, yo, insurance is for it's negative. It's not. All the biggest firms out there, even the churches, House on the Rock, the Elevation Church, the churches are insured. Do you understand? Because we are on earth, right? There are systems, right? There's systems that God has given to us to, to for us to make things work, right? So you're not going to sit back and just like, oh, I think it's complacent when we sit down and say, oh, I'm just going to leave this thing. If you have the money, then do insurance. So I made use of all this contact then, and that's how like so sometimes then I'm like, how do I even know this person? Like when people say, oh, you know people, I'm like, do I even know people? But it's funny because sometimes you take things for granted. And I say that in the journey of becoming, so then I moved when I was in insurance, I did not remove my eye from the prize. Like my eyes were still steady on the goal. I said to myself, I was not going to be distracted. So one thing in this journey is one thing that's been the heart of everything I've done is making sure to put my heart into everything I do for the time I'm doing it. I'm not one of the people that, oh, because I'm doing this thing, then I'm doing it haphazardly. If I'm doing it, I'm doing it. I say that because I say to everybody, so is that I'm somewhere or I'm not there. Like I don't like to be here. I don't like sometimes I don't like to be in places out of compulsion. So if I'm there, I'm going to put my heart into it. So when I was there, people were like, I thought you were passionate. When I left and then I'm in media, everyone was like, I thought you were passionate about insurance because of the way you were. And I'm like, because that's just me for you. If I'm in somewhere, it's either I'm not there. But I've taken it on. Nobody forced me to do it. If I'm there, I'm going to give it my all. And in that time, I built like solid relationships. So now I'm in media. I have like things to do. I have like maybe stuff that I just need people to come on board. These are the people, those corporate relationships are built. Those are the people, because people are wondering like, how did you get this? I'm like, hey, look at it's all this relationship. It's funny because I think of it like it's just basic, but I'm like, really, I've actually built this thing. So these people are so proud of me. So many times when I'm doing things, I realize I cannot afford to fail because there's so many people that believe in me. There's so many people that are rooting for me. There's so many people that have seen my journey. You know how people just come out of nowhere. They don't have a journey, but I'm someone that has a story and a journey like people have seen. And it's like these people are constantly, they feel like they're a part of my journey. People like to feel like they're part of something, like we're part of it, where we saw it. When I was doing insurance, I was still, my friends would send me opportunities in media because they knew what I wanted to do. The time when I met Presley, that was when I used to go for IK at Osekudu. I used to do something called IK Talks or something like that. It was for people who wanted to be in the media space, presenters, hosts, and whatnot. I was still building myself, and I'm still building myself. Even when I have peers that have opportunities, maybe speaking, whatever, trainings or whatnot. When I have the opportunities, I join, right? Because learning is constant. You can't afford to just think you because you learn something. You always learn things from people around you. So I learned from people in the corporate space. I learned things about structure. So I think that's what set me apart from so many people because some people do not have this kind of background. Look at the relationship with years along the line. Then we come to Elevation Church. I meet Presley. Look at that. So then someone might see me today and think, oh, you guys just met. But we've known from that time. I saw the potential in him. I saw someone who was also like who was hungry, like who was hungry succeed as well. And I looked at the growth. I remember then I used to see, again, person, sorry, I'm saying your story, but this is how I'm a storyteller. And I remember back then how he would always post his is this scorecard of the year based on the activities and some of the things he's been able to do for the Surge community at that time, the breed. And I saw like a consistency, something that was really very commendable. And look at that. Do you understand? So within that space, I saw how he was able to drive that. So that for me was really commendable, right? So again, people I've just known along the line, I see their journeys, I learn from their journeys, I build this relationship. So what I'm going to say about becoming the hero, quote, in quotes, quote and unquote, that we're talking about is focus is really important. Learning is constant. Learning from the people around you and being resilient, because people always like a finished product, but I've always started out things. So when they give me opportunities, when I was in New Central, I used to be in New Central. New Central is amazing now, right? But I started out training, from training to associate producer to producer. And I started out things that did not have I just realized recently, like, wait, I've always been a part of teams that do not have a template, right? Like, I've always been a part of people that built the template that everyone now runs with. You get what I mean? And now I look at the teams that we've had over the years, from when we used to have host, please nudge me once this time so that I can stop. From when we used to have like South Africans, Zimbabweans as hosts, many of them are Rice TV and all of that now. I remember working, being on the team, to when we moved to new anchors that we've chosen, being on the team where there was no template, where we were drafting the show, we would redraft, on draft, change it and change. And now we at the time I left the team, right? The show is still working. That's the flagship morning show. The show is still working, but every single time the director of program texts me and says that we missed the teamwork that you and your team had, because at that time I had a team lead, and we were working. That was like the dream team, right? So I've always been someone that is part of something that is fresh out of the bat, like that doesn't have a template. And being a part of things like that, people admire it, right? People love the idea. I think I just have a gift of maybe starting things unknowingly, being a part of, being a pioneer, or being a part of pioneer project or something like that. Because when I left there as well, coming to where I am now, Business Day, it's the same thing. Like, we literally did not have a video team. As a matter of fact, we did not even have the television that we're building now, right? I say it every day with humility and also a little bit a pride, not proud, not being proud, just a sense of pride that even the studio that we had, sometimes I think of it as little. Then people tell me this is not little, that you actually literally got the person who built the studio that we have here. Because I like to see project come to, like, I believe in being a part of something. Like, I don't need to be like the what's it called, I don't need to be in the front, but being that person that actually made things work. So I live there today, or I live there any day. It's in the record, right? That you literally there was no studio, and you literally, more like a project manager, got this thing up and running. I didn't even know how big of a deal that was, but yes, that happened. So every time it's like I've seen myself as being a part of Pioneer Project, because I think there's a trait that you need to have to be this person. You need to be this person that knows. So there are people, you can be talented, but I think leadership is different. You can be talented, but not necessarily a leader. A leader is someone that knows how to bring people together, that understands different people's personality, that knows how to make things work. A leader is also somebody that might not be necessarily keen on money, because if you're a leader, I'm sure Kenny will understand what I'm saying. If you're a leader, sometimes you need to get projects running. You're not thinking about enriching your project, your pocket. You're thinking about how to get this thing to work, get the right hands. So I think it's really important. So that's been my journey. It's been just been a journey of resilience, focus, just understanding people, building relationships, and to be honest, it's constant learning and constant growth. And we're here today and we're still growing. Next 2026, I said that 2025 is what's it called? Is warm up. 2026 is going to be even much more. So yeah, I hope that everything I've said, I hope that they resonate, and I hope that they've meant something to anyone who has listened, and I hope that they're able to take something away from it. So yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing, Elizabeth. I think the key points for me that I took away was, being open to learning. You started from volunteering, relationship building along the way, and being resilient, consistent. And the keyest thing, if there's any word like keyest, showing up with your heart. If you're there, you are there. You're not, being two-sided. And yeah, that really meant so much to me, like showing up like with your full self. So thank you so much for sharing. Looking forward to hearing more in the panel session. So guys, let us just make welcome the next panelists to share with us what their heroic journey has been so far. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, how did I miss the clapping? Like, goodness. Thank you so much, Presley. Guys, please let us just appreciate Elizabeth for sharing that much. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to invite Kehinde to share with us what his journey has been. But before that, let me just, run through Kehinde's profile so that we just get acquainted with who he is. Yeah. All right. Um, Augustine Kehinde is a systems-driven brand builder and transportation strategist committed to extending the lifespan of African businesses at scale. His work focuses on one core mission, unlocking Africa's potential through structured sustainable growth. Please, if you're not speaking, you can mute your mic, right? He's the founder and CEO of Scale Next, a structured first BPO and digital transformation firm designed to reduce business attrition by helping SME startups and growing enterprises build systems at scale. Through Kende's work, he has helped organizations move from chaos to clarity by designing growth engines and combined strategy before execution. He's driven by impact, scale, long-term value, and his work continues to shape businesses and professionals who are building not just for growth, but for legacy. So, ladies and gentlemen, please let us make welcome Augustine Kehinde as he shares with us his heroic journey. Hi, Kehinde.
Hi, Annie. Good to see you. Good evening. Please confirm you can
Hello.
hear me.
Absolutely, can hear you, can see you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for this. When I saw that profile, I had to ask Adra where he got it from. But yes, that is basically the heart of what I do. And thank you so much for that amazing citation. Good evening, everyone. Adura, thank you for putting this together. This is impactful. You may not realize it, but this is going to change so many lives. This is a seed that you're planting, and I strongly believe that this is going to go a long way. Like my friend Liz, said, I'm rooting for you. Well done. Thank you for inviting me. I would also like to, acknowledge my pastor firstly. Thank you I mean, it's such an honor to speak before you. It's a huge honor that I not take for granted. Thank you for also being here, for gracing this platform, with your presence. Elizabeth, my friend, I don't know what else to say. It feels as though, you've more or less, you saw my journey, or you've lived, or you are living my journey, right? And so just hearing you speak, I felt like, okay, so what else can I add to this? What else can I say? But then I'll just add a few things, for the sake of someone here someone who would watch this later, to learn that, yes, like I always say, success is predictable, so is failure. And I mean, I'm not surprised, after hearing everything you've said, I'm not surprised that you are here and that you're still going even a long way. You're still going to, thrive, still going to impact, your sector and your generation. So I'm not surprised at all. Success is predictable. And I think that, for anyone again listening to this, I think that you can objectively evaluate your life, right? You can objectively measure your life. And trust me, if you're honest enough, if you're objective, with yourself, you can honestly tell if you're going to be successful in the next 5 years or not, right? Thank you so much for that, Annie. You can objectively, tell if you're going to be successful or not just by looking at the things that you're doing. And I mean, hearing Elizabeth speak, I would not be surprised, right, to hear that tomorrow or next tomorrow, Elizabeth is somewhere in the maybe at CNN or at one of these global media platform, or she even owns it, right? Owns the global media platform because again, she has put in the work and she continues to put in the work, right? Success is predictable, so is failure. And so if you're listening to this, I would like you to honestly reflect on your own journey, right? What have you done so far? And if you're to be honest with yourself, the things that you've done, right, in the past, do you think it's enough to get to where you want to be? And again, just sharing from my experience, a few weeks ago, I was having a conversation with a senior friend. And the conversation was about somebody, a mutual friend, right? That and we're just going back and forth over an issue, right? And then he told me that if he hears tomorrow, that I'm a billionaire, he will not be surprised because he's seeing the focus, right? He's seeing the work, right? And I think Elizabeth has spoken largely to the work that's required, to achieve the success. And as you step into 2026, right, I need you to honestly, truthfully sit back and reflect on your life, right, on how much work you put into the things that you do. You cannot negotiate it. There's no way you can, you can skirt or you can maneuver or you can navigate not working. I don't know. There's no how you will not put in the work that you need to put in to achieve the success that you truly deserve or that you desire. Like I said, Elizabeth has spoken so much, to the fact that you have to work very hard. I work very hard, right? I'm relentless and I'm passionate. Like she said, there's nothing that I find myself doing that I don't put my 100% in, right? I don't know how to do 90%. I don't know how to do it. If I will not be happy, I would leave that work. I will leave it completely. I was having a conversation with my wife just last night, and she was saying that that she observed, the way I do my work, and in fact, even to cleaning the house. When I clean the house, I clean with so much passion, right? That you see that this person does not do anything half-heartedly. That's what I do. I put in 100% into everything that I do. It has to show, right, that someone has come in here and this person has, done this in this space. I don't like to leave a place, or leave a job half done, or I'm approaching it, a project half-heartedly. That's not in my nature. And so if you're stepping into 2026, right, as you're stepping into 2026 and you have some goals, right, that you set for yourself, you cannot negotiate not working. You have to make the sacrifice. You have to do it. You have to approach it like you really, really need it, right? And, because I don't have so much time to dwell on this, I'm just going to give you a framework, right? I'm going to leave a framework that I've applied for my life, right? That has worked for me so far, that has helped me to be where I am today. And like I said, it has been work, right? It has been sacrifice, it has been passion, and of course, it has been God. And right, the framework I'm going to share with you is something that I believe, right, will really go a long way in helping you if you adhere to it, if you follow that framework. And I call it PRIME, right? I call it PRIME, PRIME. That is, that is the framework that I adopt for my life. Every year, every moment in my journey in my life, I try to look at my life based on this framework. And Prime is an abbreviation, right? PRIME, and the P in Prime stands for pray. I pray. I don't start. Before 2 months before the new year starts for me, right? I've already gotten the word for the new year from God. From God, I've already gotten the word 2 months ahead, and I've started, internalizing that word. I've started, thinking, meditating on it, showing it, right? That word. Every phase of my life has come with a word. Every transformation, every journey, every milestone, rather, that I've experienced so far in my life has always come with a word. So I don't start the year without hearing, what next year is going to be about for me, right? Since November, right, or even October, I've heard about what next year is going to be, right? And I've started pressing into it. You cannot, as a believer, and I believe that I'm speaking to believers, right? And if you're not a believer, this is an opportunity for you to, to connect, right? To really, really make that decision to submit to life with Christ. But as a believer, you cannot move, forward without God directing you, and that's what you get in the place of prayer. You have to pray, and you have to listen attentively to what God wants to do in the year ahead. Right? You pray about discernment. You pray about discipline. You pray about direction. Right? Next year is coming. What should be the word? I attend the Elevation Church, and every year there's always a word that we have. That even my pastor, has received maybe a few months before the new year. And so we don't enter the new year, and that's when we start looking for the word for the new year. You heard the word, the year before, and then you prepare yourself ahead. So as a believer, P in Prime is very crucial. Don't enter the next year, without hearing that particular thing that God wants to do in the year ahead. And so I take that very seriously. Then the R in my Prime framework, stands for resolve. So I've heard a word now, right? So what do I need to do? Right? I resolve to pursue whatever it is that God has placed in my hand or my heart, for the next year. And so what I do about that is I create what I call, strategic imperatives, right? And there are only three. And I try to apply this across every area of my life, my business, in my relationship, in my personal life, right? Identify three, strategic imperatives, three key things, and their goals, strategic goals that I need to achieve in the year ahead, right? So what should it be about my business? What kind of expansion do I want to see in the year ahead, right? Personally, how do I want to approach my life? Personal development, do I want to, study more? Do I want to do I want to invest more in my personal development, in all of those things, right? It's very important that you have that strategic imperatives for yourself, and not just even for your business alone or your career. I want to attain this position. Even personally, in your life, in your journey, you need to have that strategic imperatives, right? Three key things, big goals that, based on the word that you've heard from God, that you're going to pursue in the year ahead, right? Very, very important. And then the I, right, in Prime is now in invest. So now you have the strategic imperatives. You've listed the three big goals that you are going to pursue in the year ahead. Then you invest in it. You have to, I said it, earlier. I don't know how you are going to, negotiate, not working. You have to sacrifice, you have to invest, right? And so investments now can cut across, personal development. You need to take more courses. You need to study. You need to go to a conference. You need to, read some books. You need to get a mentor, whatever you need to do that. Also, you have to also invest in relationships. Who should, the journey that you are going, the next level, the word that God has given you, the strategic imperatives that you've crafted for yourself, right? Who do you need, for that journey? Not everybody, deserves, to be a part of your next level or your next phase, even the next year for you. There are some relationships now that have run their course in 2005. As we're stepping into 2026, you need to start to, audit your relationships and say, okay, this works for me in the last. It doesn't mean that you now have to abandon or start to, it means that you have to be very, very, strategic and intentional about your relationship to say, who do I have right now, that shouldn't follow me, to the next year? Who am I speaking? What kind of habits do I have? It's part of, investment. You have to look at your relationships, look at your habits, look at your, your personal development, the gaps in your skills, in your capacity. You feel it, by committing, to feel it. I mean, by committing to, to investing, right? So that's basically, you have to invest in that, and then you also have to measure, right? Don't wait till I do that a lot. I'm a thinker, and so every minute, every day, I reflect on what I did the week before, how I can be better, in the next week. And so periodically, you have to have cadence, right? Review, personal, evaluation cadence that you need to establish for yourself periodically. Say maybe every quarter, maybe every month, right? Maybe every week, and then to reflect on how well I'm doing, with the goals that I've set, with the word that God has given. God has said, oh, maybe next year for you is the year of, acceleration. What does acceleration mean, practically? What do you need to do, right, to accelerate? What are the things that you need to invest in, right? What are the, relationships that need to get you there? How do you need to position yourself? How do you need to posture, for you to, accelerate in the year ahead? And so periodically, after a month, after 2 months, after 3 months, depending on the time that you have, you sit back and you measure and you say, you know what, how well have I done so far this year? Is there anywhere that I've, is there any misalignment? Is there any, where that I've sort of like derailed all of those things? You need to be able to get yourself to that point where you reflect. However, the reflection without execution is still going to be stagnation. You're going to be in the same place. So when you reflect, you also, take action. You've reflected, you've seen the gaps, you've seen that, you know what, maybe I'm not moving forward. I'm not moving as fast as I should, because now 2026 is my year of acceleration. But so far, Q3 2026, I'm not moving forward. I'm not accelerating, right? What have I done wrong? Maybe I've spent so much time on unproductive things, right? Maybe I've changed my goals now. The 3 big things that I wanted to pursue, I've now made them 7, because a friend said, oh, let's get to this, let's get to that, right? So we need to see how we can course correct and get back to, get back on track, right? So that is an M, right, in prime. And then the last, which is E, you don't have to evolve, right? There's no point, like I said, there's no point in measuring if you're not going to, take some action to fix whatever gaps that you've seen. So when you've reflected on the year or on the month or so, or reflecting on how long you've gone, in the next year, then I can say, okay, so how do I now move to the next level? How do I, take some step further? How do I course correct? How do I improve on what's already working? If you are accelerating, at the level that you expected, your evolve, right? The E in the prime framework will now let you know, I'm accelerating, I'm moving very fast at the speed that God told me that I'm going to move, right? But what do I need to stabilize? What do I need to, maintain the momentum, right? So that reflection will give you those insights, and the Holy Spirit is always available, right, to provide the necessary support that you need, right? And so, just to not take too much of our time, this is the framework that I personally, I use every year. I don't start a year without, the word, and then without following this path, right? And I also like to just, say, big thank you to Elizabeth for just telling my story for me, and and yeah, so yeah, that's basically, all I have to share. Thank you so much, Annie. Over to you.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Is it just me? Oh my goodness, that was just power packed. Like, you gave it to us beginning to end, hot, hot, hot. Thank you so much, Kende. I learned so much. You can see I'm sure that you can see my notes that I typed and put in the chat session, like the prime framework. Really, yeah, I'm just going to use that, honestly, like copy and paste. Let's go 2026. Yay. Thank you for sharing, Kende. That was super good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. How do you feel? How do you feel? Are we geared up for the next person? Are we geared up for the panel session coming up? All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. I'm still digesting.
Yeah, we're ready.
We have to run. Okay. The next person I'm just going to bring up is someone amazing as well. And I do believe that we're going to get as much value as possible. Sorry, can you hear me? Is my background noise too much? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much. Right. It's somebody that we also are looking forward to, hearing what his hero journey has been. And it's no other person than Adewale Presley. So let me just run through his profile before he comes up. All right. So Presley is a human hero whose superpower is storytelling, the kind that doesn't just inform, but transforms. Trained as a scientist, telecoms engineer, and media professional, he chooses the path where logic meets imagination and strategy meets soul. Across radio, television, film, and brand spaces, Presley has quietly shaped narratives for individuals, organizations, and companies across Nigeria, Ghana, and West Africa. helping them find clarity, credibility, and connection in a noisy world. As a media consultant, brand strategist, creative director, writer, broadcast host, he builds stories that sell, move, and endure. His work spans industries from agriculture to real estate, nonprofit to e-commerce, proving that no matter the field, stories remain the most powerful currency, actually. Still in preparation mode, Presley is currently in film school, sharpening his craft as a director and storyteller. A reminder that true heroes never stop becoming. Presley is living proof that impact is not accidental. It is designed, developed, and refined over time. So please let us make welcome no other person than Presley Ademola. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Annie. Thank you, everyone, for being here on the call. If you please just let me know that you can hear me indeed this evening. It's such a joy to be here. Annie, I think I see you do a thumbs up.
Oh,
That's
yes, we can
confirmation
hear
that you
you.
can hear me.
Yes, we can hear
Great,
you. We can
great,
see you.
great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I heard Elizabeth say earlier that it's such a joy to be on a panel with, individuals that she calls friends and people that she adores. Um, I listened to Kenny speak as well, and when Elizabeth was saying it's a setup, asking me to speak first before these individuals, I think the actual setup is inviting you to speak after they've literally blazed the trail, because the conversation you want to then have is what else is there to say? Thank you, Kende. God bless you. That was such a powerful conversation you had with us. Thank you too, Elizabeth. Like my notes are full actually. I've been writing down stuff ever since I got on here. I also want to appreciate the convener for the event, and of course you, Aniekan, for just being a great host, just speaking to us, chaperoning the conversation thus far. I do realize the time that I have, and I'm going to do my best to stick with that time, only because, I genuinely think that, everything that we need to hear, both, Kende and Elizabeth have shared it. And I absolutely resonate with everything that they've spoken about this evening. Even though there's a flyer that has my face on it, I knew for a fact that I was joining this to also participate and learn. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to actually do that. Um, this evening. There really is not so much that I want to speak to. Interestingly, myself, Kenny, and Liz. Please forgive me. At some instances, I would refer to Kennedy as Kenny, and I'll refer to Elizabeth as Liz. Just simply because we're quite close. So we're in each other's lives and each other's stories, and they are family. So sometimes you don't call your family what every other person calls them. So please forgive me when I refer to them as these monikers. I hope that that's okay. But in thinking about the conversation, I just want to say something. By the way, I'm still at the studio. Media doesn't sleep, so even on Saturdays, you have to be at work, and that's why I'm doing all of this for. And I think it's actually quite it's actually quite poignant, if you may, that I'm also doing this from here, because to those that know, I don't necessarily have a media background. I studied film in school, and here I am today. 90% of the things that I do is around the media space, and I'm so grateful that I actually make that shift at the time that I did. But back to the conversation we're having this evening, I just want to say something, some of which you've heard either Liz or Kenny say at some point, but I just want to emphasize them because I believe that it's really, really important and could become the pivotal thing that could potentially change somebody's life in 2026. Liz said something earlier that I think is so true. Unveiling 2026 is literally the rider for the event. And then she said, that 2025 is warm up and 2026 will be the actual unveiling. And I agree with it. I resonate with it 100%. Kenny, in a speech, he talked about, and this is me paraphrasing now, how your preparation for next year is almost predictable now, and how you apply God and even your thoughts and your desires to the things that you would love to see, you can start to see them at this point in time. And I absolutely agree with them. But, just to sort of add the cherry on top of the cake, if you may, I want to share two thoughts and I want to speak to one truth. I would share two thoughts and speak to one truth, right? That I just wrote down because I wanted to be able to share this with us this evening. And once I am done with that, I will believe that my job here is done and we can take everything further. I wrote these things down because I wanted to share with everyone on the call, and I trust that it would indeed radically change your mind, your life, and your perspective going forward. The first thing I have written down here is write it down. Right, write it down. I was in conversation with a very someone that I absolutely respect and love the other day, and I was sharing with her how I saw something a while ago from a mentor, right? And he talked about how every year, towards the end of the year, he would pick up a notepad and then write down 300 things that he wants in the next year. And what he would then do is at certain instances in the new year, he would just go through that list of 300 things. And the way he would phrase it would be that by the end of that new year, when you look at the things that you must have written down, you would be absolutely stunned by the number of things that God would have done in your life and the things that you're able to apply yourself to. And that's really because there's a thing that writing it down does for you. Oprah Winfrey is very fond of saying something, and that is writing down your goals, your vision, your desires is very cathartic, right? That's the phrase that she uses. Writing down whatever it is you want to do is very cathartic, and it's powerful because that's literally what it is. There's a force that comes with writing stuff down. There's a It's not something you can describe with words per se, but there's just a propelling force. There's this fuel, if you may. There's this strength. There's this power. There's this driving thing that comes with writing stuff down. When you put it down somewhere and say, I want to do this and this, I will do this and that by XYZ time, what happens is every single thing around you starts to work just to make sure that all of this comes into play. Some instances during my conversation as well, you would forgive me, but I'm also a man of faith, so I would, just maybe insert a few words here and there in the Bible. But that's also because I absolutely believe in it. So when scripture, for example, says to write the vision down, make it plain that you may run. This is what I am talking about, because writing it down is the fuel and that gives you, the energy to actually run towards, these things. So when they say write these things down and then start to think about it, I will do this, I will become this. It is you investing first in that thing that you see. Everything that exists today, everything that everybody becomes at one point in life, at some point it existed in their imagination. And that's the one thing that is freely given to us that you and I must leverage on. So the question you want to ask yourself this evening is 2026 is literally a couple of days away. By December 27th of 2026, what kind of human being do I want to become? I absolutely love, Kenny's opening statement when he talked about how success is predictable. In the same vein, failure also is predictable. And that's absolutely true. You can tell sometimes what a certain human being would eventually amount to just by certain patterns, how they speak to themselves, how they invest in themselves, the things that they do, the people that they hang around, and even how they try to find ways to also pour into themselves. So the first thing I would say is write it down, right? Write it down. Whatever it is you want to do, either things that are visible or things that are feasible or not. I'll take that again because I want someone to hear what I just said. Things that are visible or things that are feasible. So visible as in things that you can't even see, right? Write it down. Things that you don't think is possible, but you would love to see. Write everything down. And if you're like me, you're able to stretch and get to 300. Write down 300 things. Now, the thing about 300 and why it's significant is there's a high likelihood that you would not get to 300. And that's really because if you're thinking about it, by the time you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's a likelihood that when you get to say 50, you start to struggle, right? You start to struggle. And then, I remember the first time I did this, for example, I think I got to 110. I started to ask myself questions like, wait, hold on. Am I really an ambitious human being? I've always thought that I was really ambitious. I've always thought that I'm really, voracious for knowledge, hungry for success and all of that. But how come I'm struggling to, get to 300? And it's an assignment that I actually like for anyone on the call that's listening to me to try. Actually put down these things and see if you can get yourself to 300. So put that thing down, no matter what it is, no matter how ridiculous, and see how, 1 year from now, how God would have surprised you and even you would have taken certain steps to become that person. I want to run really quickly. The second thing will be to be audacious. Kenny and Liz have spoken to it to a certain extent. I came across this video that a friend of mine did. He's a pastor actually, a couple of days ago, and he was likening how you speak to your year, like how parents would have babies and how you would name a baby. For example, if you know the process of naming babies in this part of the world, for example, every parent has a child, and I think after 7 or 8 days, they then name the child. They call the child something based on the inspiration that God has given them, or just based on their own preferences. There is a way that naming that child can also be likened to what you will do with your year. So if today, for example, the 27th of December, you do not necessarily have a theme for what kind of year you want to have, then now is the time to start thinking about it. Every single year, and I think I started this some 5, 10 years ago, every single year in December, I already have a theme for the year. And that's just based on something that I've started to think about, based on my desires, my goals, coming out of a place of concrete consecration, my conversation with the Holy Spirit, what I believe God is trying to do with me in the new season. And that theme then becomes the highlights, because what eventually happens is that this thing becomes your anchor. And if anybody knows the function or the advantage of an anchor, if you're likening it to a ship, of course, then you get how almost every ship, no matter how big or small, requires that anchor from time to time. So that thing will become the anchor for that year, such that everything that you do is now shaped around it. So you should have a theme. And I do think that one theme, for example, to have in 2026 is to be audacious. But because Liz and Kenny spoke to that to an extent, I don't want to overflog what they would say. So I'd rather speak to you from another dimension and move on to the one thought that I would like to share with us tonight. And what I want to say, speaking to audacity, is stay with it, right? Liz spoke to volunteering for stuff. Liz spoke to how when you see something that you want, don't be scared, just go for it, right? And I agree 100%. By the special grace of God, every single job, every single project I've worked on, every single thing that I've done in my life, I can proudly say on this call that 95% of them I didn't necessarily apply, right? I literally just walked into a room, sat down with who was the head of the thing. I just said, look, I think that we should do this, this, and this. I have this great idea. I'm happy to be a part of it, and I'd like to do it. I'll share one quick example just so that I can buttress what I'm sharing. Again, I talk about how I studied physics in the university, but as at my 200 level, 300, I started to feel this nudging that I wasn't going to do physics leaving the university, primarily because every single day after my sessions at the laboratory, I would go to the art department and just watch plays. That was my way of de-stressing. I would watch plays on end. And then once it was night, I would then go home, come back the following day and repeat the same thing. Spend the day in the laboratory taking lectures, and then I'd go to the art department and watch plays. And at some point I knew I needed to start something in media. So I started, I volunteered with the school radio in the University of Ilorin at the time. 2 years later, I would graduate school, transferred to Anambra for NYSC, and I was posted to a secondary school. I was in OBS in camp. I was posted to a secondary school in the state capital, which I wasn't mad at. I also love to teach from time to time, but I knew that I also wanted something in media. And what I did then, I checked out what the radio stations in Oka looked like. I found Rhythm FM and Silverbird TV. I literally got dressed one day. I went to the station. I remember this story I'm sharing with you. I remember it so vividly. I'm playing it out in my mind right now as I speak to you. I walked into the compound. I saw a certain individual sitting under a tree. It was relaxing because it was around lunchtime. I walked up to this individual. His name is Sydney Aneke. I walked up to this individual. I sat down with him, very polite. I told him I wanted to see the station manager at the time, and he asked me who I was. I explained who I was to him. I told him where I was coming from. I told him what my desire was. I told him what I could do, and just shared ideas as to what the station could do, XYZ, and that I was willing to be a part of it. I guarantee you, every single person on the call, I literally had a 1 hour conversation with this person. Mind you, this person that I was speaking with turns out to be the station manager for Rhythm FM and Silverbird TV at the time. Sydney Anike is literally one of the most popular media personalities in the entire East, in like all of Eastern Nigeria. I had a 1 hour conversation with Sydney. Literally from there, he took me straight into the studio, and I started working at Rhythm FM and Silverbird TV that day. He didn't ask me to come back another day. I literally started right there on the spot. And that's literally been like almost the trajectory for everything that I've always done, and that speaks to the audacity part of the conversation. But the reason I say to stay with it is when you start these things, right, there's a likelihood that you would want to fall out of rhythm. And that's really because as humans, we are creations of habits. right? We function best with things that we're familiar with. But I promise you that sometimes breakthrough or newness are not necessarily familiar. The thing that you want to become in 2026 is not something that you already are. If you already are that thing, then there's a likelihood that you're not dreaming for it. It's not a goal anymore. But because you're dreaming for that thing, you're aspiring to it, it suggests to me, at the very least, that you are not yet that thing. And what it means is there's a likelihood that there will be something in you that will fight against you becoming that thing. And that is why, in your being audacious, you also have to recognize that there's going to be a pattern that you have to break. And you can only break that pattern when you stay with that thing that you've identified that you want to do. And this will lead me to my final points tonight, and I'd hand over back to Anieka. Have conversations with yourself from time to time. Somebody's probably thinking, is Presley suggesting that I just speak out loud? People will think I am crazy from time to time and all that. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I am suggesting that you speak out loud to yourself. There's a popular quip on social media that says, when you hear me speaking, for example, don't disturb me, I'm having a staff meeting. I am such an advocate for having staff meetings, because the more you talk to yourself, the more the realer the things that you're sharing becomes in your psyche. As a matter of fact, let me put it this way, and this is the best way I like to describe it to people. You are a human being by yourself, but think about it as you are a separate entity outside of yourself. And I promise you, no matter where you are today listening to me, you require leadership from you. I'll say it again for someone to get what I'm saying. You require leadership from even yourself. Your body requires leadership, your spirit requires leadership, and your mind requires leadership from yourself. And the reason it has to be yourself is whether you realize it or not, somebody or something out there is leading you. Somebody or something out there is shaping your perspective, your worldview. For someone, it might be social media. For someone, it might be the movies you watch. For somebody, it might be your friends. For somebody, it might be the books that you read. All of these things can only be influenced by one entity, and that one entity is yourself. So somebody on the call, your devotion is lacking because you've not chosen, made that active decision to actually do these things the way that you should. And so tonight, you need to understand that even you require leadership from yourself. A fabulous example is what happens when people go to the gym. Bodybuilders, after a while, there's a goal, there's a transformation that happens in their body. And it's really because they spent day one, month one, or maybe 6 months doing a particular routine that will then lead to their muscles expanding, their body forming in a certain type of way, simply because they chose to lead that part of their being. Your being is multiple things, right? Your body, your spirit, and your soul. And like I said, all of these things require leadership from yourself. Now, to sum up everything that I have said, even if you forget everything else, I genuinely want to beg everybody on the call, remember this one thing. You require leadership from yourself. The question you want to then ask yourself is, what are the things that I need to do better? What are the areas that I have to lead myself in to become the version of myself that I want to be come December 2026? And you have to start now. So as you write down the vision, have plans. It doesn't have to be perfect. As a matter of fact, I tell people a lot that I spend most of the first and second month of the new year still iterating or tweaking the plans that I had. And it's really because it's a pointer to how, one, audacious your goals are, and two, how willing you are actually able to strive towards almost perfection. And I say almost perfection intentionally, right? Don't put too much pressure on yourself such that you then think small. Have a very, very big dream. I'm such a fan of big dreams. Have a very, very big dream. And because it's a big dream, there's a likelihood that you won't hack it at once. If you're able to, because the Holy Spirit just endowed you with that wisdom all at once, fabulous. But if not, right, just allow yourself the patience to iterate from time to time as you go, remembering that you need leadership from yourself, and these areas of your life would also require you to lead from time to time. Then make small notes, things that you would do every single day, that would allow you draw closer to the version that you want to become. And I believe 100% that come 12 months, when you look back at the individual that you've become by literally applying all of these things, there would have become a significant change that even you will be surprised that you've become this person simply because you applied some of the things that a Presley, a Kenny, and a Liz shared on a particular 27th of December in 2025. I cannot wait, and I do not say this because it's a fancy thing to say. I say because that genuinely is how I feel. I cannot wait to hear the stories that will come out of these conversations that we're having tonight. Just to reiterate for somebody, write it down, be audacious, stay with it, but ultimately have conversations with yourself and recognize that even you require leadership from yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Presley. That was very practical. And thank you for sharing from your life experience, really. I think it just goes to show the depth in which you have embodied these principles and, seeing that it works. And so that's why you are able to actually share with us. Thank you very much, guys. Please let me just see your emojis right now. Do you appreciate everything that you're hearing? Are they meaningful to you? Have you taken down notes? Do you have questions? Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think for me, it has been very, very simplistic and very, I'm waiting to use the word practical, but anyways, that's just what it is, practical. Yes, it's been very practical. And I mean, I can't wait to just be really real. I think another thing I'd like to say is the authenticity actually that comes with, these things, in the process of becoming the hero or who you really want to be, right? Just being authentic with yourself, being real with yourself, telling yourself the truth and just really showing up. Yeah, that's about it. So, guys, this is where we are just going to hop on to, having all of these three great minds really just go about on a discussion, asking questions. The heart of it, I mean, that is the real panel session in essence, anyway. Just to discuss what preparation looks like beyond visibility, to reveal habits, key heart alignment moments, um, preparation. I know they've discussed a bit of preparation too, and discipline and inner alignment and all of those things, but just to really have them ask one another, questions, core questions that reveal things that they didn't really share with us, when they had the moment to share. Yeah, and the person who'll be leading that discussion is Presley. So Presley, are you ready to, take us on a panel discussion with Elizabeth and Kende?
Absolutely. Can I just put out the caveat that this part of the conversation, because as a moderator, sometimes you have the liberty and the authority to I almost wanted to say do as you like, but that's not essentially what I want to say. But yeah, essentially I'm going to be, putting Kenny and Elizabeth on the spotlight. Like I said earlier, I really just want to hear from them and just learn from their wealth of wisdom. Annie, I don't know if it's okay for this session if I maybe turn off my video. Does that work?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
just
all right. Thank you very much. Okay, so Elizabeth and Kende, my family, my friends, brother and sister. This is the part where we just really share. Um, um, and I suspect that, if anyone on the call has questions that they want to ask as well, you can always share that in the chat and we will take them from time to time. Liz, they say ladies first, right? So I want to, ask you this particular question as we, enter the new year, just outside of some of the things that you've shared with us this evening, what would you say is the most important um character trait that a certain individual or that everyone needs to develop? And I'm saying character trait because if you could also speak to this, do you agree that it feels like in the world today there's a huge decay in character, right? More people are so fixated on results that they forget the process that leads you there. And you spoke a lot of process when you were speaking, which is something that I appreciate. But can we talk about character for a second as to what would you say is the most significant character trait that every individual should either build or, think about cultivating as you enter, a brand new year?
All right, thanks, Presley. I'll say that the first character trait everyone must first have. I'm going to mention more than one, but the first one is self-belief because you don't believe in yourself.
Mm,
When people are not believing in you, if you're trusting the outside, like if you're trusting on outside sources for to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself enough, then you're already setting up yourself for disaster because there's going to be times when the from outside it might not really add up, but you have to believe in yourself. You have to know because most time people have to see that you believe in yourself, right? You have to be your own biggest cheerleader before anyone will then lead will join. So you have to be a self leader, right? To believe in yourself first. Put in the work in yourself. Keep believing in yourself. Keep doing the work because people are not going to believe in you till you believe in yourself. And there's going to be times when even after your self-belief, people don't still believe. So if your self-belief is not enough, your self-belief has to be so much. And that's the thing. Uh, the, that's in the term 2025 term, like they would say, Delulu is the Solulu. See, it's not even Delulu. That one is taking it a notch or taking it like too far, right? But if we're to look at it, I've seen that the people that have this sense of delusion, like you see people that are like they can do this thing, and you're like, you have from where to where now? But just leave them to do it. It's the self-belief that just keeps gets things running when other people, because people cannot see it. Like most time people cannot see it until it's done. So if you don't believe in yourself, you've already set yourself up for disaster. So self-belief is very, very key. And grit is something that many people don't have. That staying power is what sets me. So many times, like they would say, is who gave up that has lost, because nobody cares about, oh, it was going to people, what's going to see, what people are going to, if you're going to inspire the next generation, it's going to be that you did, not that you were going to. So there has to be that um there has to be that greed, like, and it has to start from believing in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to even keep pushing even when things don't seem like it, because most times the road is never linear, right? The road is never linear. So if the road is not linear and you don't have that grit, you think that things will just fall on your table or things will just drop on your lap, then there's a problem there. So you have to have that grit, self-belief, then follows by the grit. That is what will keep you going. That conviction that yes, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're chosen for. This is what you're about. Even when people don't see it, right? Then you have to. So for me, I'll just say self-belief and grit is really important as you go into 2026, right? And obviously, we know that the God factor is very important, right? So if you're praying to God, if you trust, put God is the anchor, for all of these things, right? So you're not going to be trusting for you to have self-belief, you have to trust in God as well, because God is your anchor, right? So when the world is saying this, or when the world is not seeming like it, and you're not even going to blame the world, most times it's not like they don't see you in that light. It's just that people are seeing what they're seeing. You are the one that is seeing where you're going. You are the one that is seeing yourself. Do you understand? So that's why you need to believe in yourself. And that's why you have to have conversations with God. That's why you have to hold God. So two things, self-belief and greed is very important. And then having God as your anchor. Because
right,
for you to have these two things, God has to anchor you.
right, right. Thank you so much, Liz. Self-belief and grit. Self-belief and grit. I think that that's definitely two things that um majority of the successful people that you come across in the world will tell you that you have to have. Interestingly, speaking of success, Liz, I think I'd like to get your definition of that, because I think it applies to people on different levels. But I want to give you a second to just think about that for a second. I want to quickly come to Kenny and ask this question. I suspect that Kenny's still on the call. Um, Kenny, this one is for you, right? And it can also sound a bit practical, but I also want to. I know it's something that you're able to tackle perfectly. There's this thing that's very common when we approach a brand new year. It feels like everyone is, everyone is on a high. There's a popular high that everybody is on simply because it's a brand new year. We see it applicable in areas like, oh, you want to hit the gym, for example, you have New Year resolutions and all of that. And while that is not a bad thing, the challenge most of the time is by the time you get to maybe the end of January or February or towards the end of Q1, most people have fallen off of whatever it is that they must have put down as their goals or aspirations. So the question I want to ask is, is there a hack that you would recommend? Is there something that individuals could do? Or maybe I should phrase it this way. What can somebody do to continually ride that wave of inspiration, that high, such that it carries you for the duration of the entire year, as opposed to just fading away by the end of January or February?
Okay, thank you very much, um, you know, my pastor for that question. And it's a very important question because, at some point there was this campaign, about people not doing New Year resolution anymore because again, within a week or two, you know, you've forgotten your New Year resolution. And I think the reason why um is because the accountability in the system is lacking, right? Um, and I say this because that also has been my experience, right? You have a New Year resolution, you have a New Year resolution, and then yes, it's your New Year resolution, so which means that you can do whatever with it. So if by week two or if by the three you're no longer feeling it, that's just it for you, right? And personally, just using my experience, right? My personal experience. Personally, what I have done that has helped me is to put in place an accountability system, right? First off, like I said, before entering the new year, I already received the word for the year. I've already received the direction, strategic direction for the year, including prayer points, right? So I know that the year that I'm entering is not a year that I'm like sending myself on. So God has inspired, God has sent me into this year. And so I need to behave in a certain way, to achieve, whatever it is that I've, put my heart, whatever it is that God has placed in my heart, to pursue in that particular year. And so the chase is a bit different, right? So it's not something that I've just you just come and say, next year I want to make next year I want to I mean, there's so many stories that next year I want to lose weight next year, for example. The question always is this: this year, what did you commit to consistently, right? That you think you can always, refer back to say, oh, next year, last year I said I was going to do this and I did it. Because there's something about testimony. I would like to share this that like the Bible, the scripture says, in Revelation that they win by the words of the testimony. Our testimony is powerful. If you did one thing in the year before and you're able to achieve it, the next year you build on it, so it becomes easier for you because you know that if I did this last year, I can do it this year. And so whatever it is that you did that worked last year, right? You could sort of like build on it. That process. A few days ago, I was having a conversation with an entrepreneur who wanted me to advise him, on his revenue for 2026, right? 2025, they did, they did a lot of, money, right? They made a lot of money in 2025. 2026, he wanted to, project, and he wanted to make big money. And I told him that, see, thing is, the way it works is this: if you cannot explain how you made, this so amount of money in 2025, 2026 is going to be very difficult for you. In fact, you're going to realize that what you made in 2025 is going to look so big for you in 2026 that you almost think that, that there's no point pursuing this, because again, you can't even explain how you achieved 2025. You can't explain it because there's no process, there's no intentionality, and there's no accountability system. So say, okay, you know what? This year I made so amount of money this year, and this is what I did exactly to make that money. Right? I wrote these plans down and then I shared it with some people. I have some systems in place. I have friends. I have staff. I have, mentors, I have mentees that, that keep me accountable, that keep me on track. I know if I don't achieve this thing, there's so many people that, are already looking up to me. I have friends that have already promised that, or I have, partners that have shared this way to say, next year, this is what we're achieving. This is what I'm going to do. Right. And so you have that sense of responsibility to them to say, you know what, I must achieve this. So if that is lacking, if that structure is lacking, that accountability structure is lacking, you are going to realize that, because again, your resolution is your own resolution. So you're going to enter that year still feeling like, oh, it's my resolution, so I'm not going to do anything about it, because who's going to ask me anyway? Nobody knows about it. There's this book that I read, I'm still reading that book, and the guy was talking about strategy. It was the book is about strategy, and he was saying that one of the fastest ways, or one of the most effective ways to achieve your objectives is to actually, declare it openly, is to commit to it openly, right? So basically to make it public. To say, you know what, in 2026, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. And then you share it maybe with your friends, or maybe you put it on your WhatsApp story. If it's personal, if you have some friends that you can confide in to say, you know what, 2026, this is what I'm really, really going to be achieving. And so you are also updating them, your progress. So when you have that sense of responsibility, that accountability, you know what, I'm accountable to these people. If I don't do this, I'm going to look somehow to them. Maybe my mentees are really looking up to me to say, oh, our mentor, because personally for me, for example, I have people texting me to say, I have a lot of mentees anyway, and so I know that I have some kind of responsibility to them to behave in a certain way, because they're also watching it. Recently I was talking to one of my mentees, and I was looking at him, I was like, guy, why are you carrying chairs up and down like this? I see you, a young boy. Why are you walking this way? He told me, oh, it's because that's what you do now, so I'm following you. I was like, no, I don't walk like this. That's how I walk. But again, that reminded me again that, whether or not I won't admit it or I like it, that people that are actually, following, my actions and whatever it is that I do now shape, their own outcome. Right. And so that forces me to behave in a certain way. So if you don't have that sense of accountability, what your resolution will just be like a wish, right? And wish without execution, especially public, vision without execution, especially public execution, is hallucination. So you're just hallucinating. There's nobody that is, there are no guardrails, there are no, systems and structures and people, that will constantly remind you to say, you made this commitment, how far have you gone with it? What have we done about it? That's the one part. The second part, again, is this testimony about track record. Always document your milestones, right? Always remember it. Like the Bible says, they win by the words of that testimony. So your testimony is very powerful. If you cannot explain what happened at a particular milestone in your life, if everything is always just grace, if everything always, of course, is grace, right? But the thing about grace is God would give you the process of why it happened. Maybe it's a prayer you prayed, right? Maybe there's a work that you did that was excellent, and through that God is out to bless you, right? But you are going to have to understand and see how it happened exactly. So when you have that testimony, so when you are now falling behind in the year, you'll be like, you know what, I did this last year, even though it wasn't this big. But if I could achieve this last year, it means that this year I can do more. I can do more than that. For me personally, for example, my business, we're able to organize a physical masterclass, right? Not big, nothing major, nothing big, but it was big, at the time. And so next year, we're already planning for something. In fact, we're planning for something bigger. And so my motivation for going is that people already came for, this one. And so next year, we have to beat the expectation. We have to do better next year, right? And so because, again, I'm already accountable to this person and to the people, to the first, to the first cohort, for example, we're already accountable to them. We have a responsibility, to continue, to scale our impact, right? And so because there's already a testimony that was successful, so which means that next year I already have something to say, you know what, this is a momentum for me. This year it was good. Next year it means it's gonna be better, right? So I have something to fall back on. Even when I'm discouraged, and I'll be like, oh, how do I go about this? How do we raise money? How do we find people to come in? How do we get this? How do we get that? I remember that somehow we did something last year. This is what we did to get it. I can apply the same templates, maybe even evolve it, maybe even better it, and then we achieve a better result, in the year ahead. So importantly, you need to be able to have this, a system, an accountability system, have a sense of responsibility, not to yourself only, but to other people. When you're responsible to yourself, you can do anything with yourself. You can feel like, what, at this point, I don't want to be responsible to myself. Maybe it's my body. Maybe it's me that is enjoying this. Maybe it's me that is my life. So I don't care. Right? But when you feel that sense of responsibility, to other people, to say, you know what, I mean, someone's destiny is connected to my own destiny, right? My own manifestation, right, is, can lead to the manifestation of so many other people. So you feel this burden in your heart, and then you realize that you cannot afford to just be wishy-washy and be dilly-dallying and be unpredictable, with your goals or with your resolutions. No, you have to be focused, because if you fail, many people will fail, right? So there's that sense of responsibility and that accountability that you already have on that level, right? And then, so then you now think of testimony, what you did the year before, even no matter how small it is, right? It's a testimony. Don't dismiss it. Don't say, oh, it's too small. Oh, what is this? People are building big houses. Me, I was only able to post on IG for the first time or write something, and then no, that is very important. Build on it and then achieve it. And then of course chase your goals for the next year. So that's basically what I can say about that.
Thank you so much, Kenny. Like, oh my God, like, I don't know. I feel like the conveners of these events would have serious problem. We need to do something about just putting this value out there and at a premium as well, because this is stuff that would radically change someone's mindset. Have a sense of responsibility, be accountable to people, and I absolutely love celebrate even the smallest testimonies. And I agree with you 100%. I remember a particular video I saw once again of Steve Harvey. I talk about him a lot because he's one of my mentors, even from afar. Just because of what he does and how he speaks sometimes. He said something about how if you're aspiring to become a millionaire, that your success story doesn't come from when you actually hit that million. No, it starts from when you make 1,000, and when you make 5,000, and then you make 100,000, and then you make 200,000. That the gratitude, the posture of your heart at every single milestone is what guarantees that you would scale the next hurdle and actually become the millionaire, for example, that you are, aspiring for. And I thank you so much, Kenny, for sharing that and reminding us of that, life principle. And this brings me to the question I was going to ask you, Liz, about, just success and how it's relative for people part time. And this could have not been orchestrated or rehearsed any better. But the fact that Kenny spoke to this at all, Liz, I'd appreciate if you can speak to, success where you are. That's where I'll phrase it. Because some people, for them, they think that the definition of hammer, for example, is when they have 100,000 followers on social media or 2 million followers on social media. Forgetting that even if you have 5,000 and you have quality influence, that by itself is a win. And this does not mean that you are not dreaming big. So if you can, please, Liz, could you please speak to the concept of success where you are and how that could lead you to even bigger things in the near future?
All right. Thanks, Press. So I would say success is pretty much self-defined. Like everyone should have a metric for what success is for them. It goes back to what I talk about having being your first validator, not making the outside world your source of validation, and having God as an anchor. So success really will be knowing what you're called to be, knowing what your life is all about, and fulfilling your potential here on earth. And just like you said, it's not about having like thousands of followers. It's not understanding what it is that you are about, what it is that you're called to do, and living in fulfillment of this every day of your life. So, because I've seen people that, um, don't that live by the world standard of what success is. If you live by the world standard of what success is, you're going to be in a constant rat race, and you will never find joy, you never find fulfillment, because you're going to be chasing the next thing, chasing the next thing. But when you know what you are about, when you're making impact, there are people that have maybe even like thousands of whatever, but they are empty. Do you get? Because really for them, it's about the next award, it's about, titles and all of that. Then when you strip them of those things, like if you don't get it this year, if you don't get it next year, they feel empty. So that's living by the world standard of what success is. But success should be defined by you, by knowing what you are called to do, not comparing yourself with what others are or what others are doing, because everyone is unique. You have a unique calling, so understanding that unique calling and living with it, because no, there can't be two me. There can't be two of me, or there can't be two of Presley, and neither can there be two of Kenny, right? Even as a twin, there is not even even as a twin, Kenny is a completely different person from his twin sister. So really, just understanding your uniqueness and living in it and living in the fullness of this with God. So yeah, that really for me will be success every day, living in understanding of this.
Every day living in the understanding of this, knowing that you are your first validator. I absolutely love this. And I've also been in, rooms or small spaces where, Liz, you have shared, for example, a practical example, which is that, for example, when you post something on your socials, you're the first to like it and the first to comment, and I think it's such a practical and such a powerful tool that, you can validate yourself first. Because if you're seeking validation from, the external world, it means that, again, like I said earlier, you're letting situations outside of yourself lead you, right? But there also is a part where you're leading yourself. And again, one practical example I would like to share with us on the call tonight is how when you speak, right? On the call tonight, as I speak, every single person can hear me via their devices. But there also is another individual that is listening to me, even though he's not quote and unquote recognized. And that individual is me. As I speak, I can hear myself speak. I can understand the things that I am saying. Same for everybody else on the call. When you are speaking, you can hear yourself speak. So it means that if you're talking to somebody because they're in front of you, it means that when you speak, you can also almost suggest that you are talking to yourself as another human being, which is why, that point that Liz made about being your first validator is such a powerful one. So when you speak positive about yourself, when you say the things that better your mind, body, and soul, it's you affirming that you have become that person, even if you cannot see it just yet. And there's just so many ways that we could get into this conversation, but I think that that's just so powerful, and it absolutely, absolutely resonates. One thing I'm really very aware of on conversations like this is that we can continue to just speak and pour into each other, and and based on the passion that the individuals have, we'll just be there on end and just talking. But I'm also very aware that sometimes we need to also cut things really, really short because of the brevity of time. But I wanna ask Kenny one last question, and I'll just take final thoughts from Liz and Kenny, and I'll hand over back to our wonderful host, Anyekan. And the question I would love to ask you, Kenny, is so say for example I'm on the call, right? Today's the 27th day of December. I've heard everything that you've said, and um um it's not necessarily because I'm a lazy individual. Maybe I have just been really distracted with stuff and all, but I haven't yet put together a plan. You have spoken to how you would get a word from God, and you already have a word for 2026. What if what I have is just a blank sheet of paper? It's a blank canvas. I haven't thought about anything. I don't feel anything in my spirit just yet. Would you say I am too late? Or what things do I need to do now to just maximize the next 3 days such that I'm able to at least get something tangible that can propel me in the new year? What would your advice be?
Thank you very much, my pastor, for that question. The short answer is not too late. It's not too late for. While it is ideal that you should have started a week or two or three or even a month before now, right? But even a day or two before the new year, you could still get something. The most important thing is commitment. The most important thing is just you deciding that you want to do next year differently, and you are really intentional about seeking that one sign, that one word, the direction that you need to go in the year ahead. Just before I joined this call, I think I was able to say I was already on this call, and there's somebody called me, right, a business owner. He said, "Oh, please, I want to have a meeting tomorrow, 7 p.m." And I know it's a meeting to plan. Imagine the business owner, you've been doing business for, but it's still last minute that you want to plan for next year. You want to plan for 2026. So the point I'm trying to make with this example is that it's still not late, right? You just have to be intentional about it. And I say intentional because I discovered that most people approach their life just not, oh yeah, it's my life, right? I want to achieve this. But there's just that bit of intentionality that is just lacking, right? And you may think that intentionality is, oh, I've drawn up a plan now, but day to day, minute by minute, what are those things that you do that directly contributes to where you want to be, right? So it's not too late. Start now, sit, even tonight, before you go to bed, ask God to just show you where you need to, what you need to do next year. What is that word, that you need? I recall, some years ago before I moved to Lagos, right? That year, I didn't even know I would move to Lagos, sincerely speaking. But before entering that year, and that was about maybe 6 years ago. Before entering that new year, I received the word, and the Holy Spirit told me that the year was going to be the year of the year of lion, right? And then the Holy Spirit interpreted that to be courage, to be boldness. And I recall I even designed a small graphics, around it, and I like posted it on Instagram, and I say, courage in different, like different words, like synonyms for courage, right? Just sort of like boldness and all that. And it happened that one morning I went to, then I was attending Living Faith. I went to the early morning service. I was not in Lagos then. I went to the early morning what's it called now, service, this morning fellowship that they do. And I came in that morning, and then I went to just catch some sleep for starting work. And I even slept. I slept and woke up around past 10 a.m. And then I put my phone and I saw a message from someone that said, "You can I come to Lagos? Like, can I come to Lagos tomorrow?" I was like, Lagos tomorrow, like, I don't have anybody, I don't know anybody in Lagos, I don't have friends, I don't have family members, I don't have anybody. I mean, Lagos tomorrow. So I want you to meet the CEO of the company. I had been speaking with the person on Twitter actually about, but I didn't think that there would be something serious, out of that conversation, right? And he said, "Oh, the CEO of this company, that I want to join this company, but the CEO is traveling out of the country, on Friday, it was on a Wednesday, so can you come to the?" I'm like, I don't even, why am I going to? So, but then I recall that, okay, this is the year of boldness, of courage, of all of those things. And the thing is, the reason why it is very important, for you to have this word, to have that sense of direction before you enter a new year, is that if you internalize this early enough, automatically it becomes automated in you, in the sense that it guides your action automatically without you even actively, thinking about it. It starts to guide you. You won't even know. Your life just be moving in that direction. You just realize that, it's boldness. So everything that you do, for example, you'll be bold. Even when you're supposed to be afraid, even when you don't have, an opportunity here, you don't have a chance there. But because you've already internalized that word that the Holy Spirit gave you, they're already working on your inside. So automatically, just see that you take that step. I recall I jumped up, I just, okay, well, how do I get to Lagos now? I didn't have any money in my account because it was towards the end of the month, and I didn't have, like, I was working but no salary. What do I do now? I called my brother, I called my mom, I'm going to Lagos. Who do you know in Lagos? Who's going to Lagos? Stay back, stay at home, all of these things. But I said, I'm going to Lagos. I don't want to get into how I got to Lagos, the whole story, but I'm in Lagos now, 6 years later, and God has been faithful, right? But I said all of this to say that, it is very crucial that you start your year knowing exactly, what God wants you to do that year, right? Having that word to just guide you. It's not even just about you having the word and then, God has promised me. The thing is, it's faith, right? But it is much more than that. It's very practical, right? It's something that's going to guide your steps, that's going to order your steps, right? Your direction, like the Bible says, that you hear a voice behind you telling you where to go. That's what the word does. Right, when you hear that word, that direction. So when you're not going that direction, just head out. No, you said this year is year of courage, but you're being fearful here. You're having anxiety is overtaking you here. You're being nervous in this space, So you quickly no, it's year of goodness. Then you get back on track, right? So it's very important, and it's not too late. You can get it even first week of January. But if you are on this call, you have an opportunity. You've not done that yet. Just take it as as the Holy Spirit telling you what to do next, right? This night, tomorrow, sit down, pray about it, take stock, look at your life, what has God told you about, your destiny, how are you going about it right now, what do you need to, to shape your journey, in the year ahead, and then, just connect it and move on. So that's all I have to say about that, sir.
Right. Thank you so much, Kenny. So many gems. So many gems. I knew when I was joining this conversation that I will not just be just be sharing. I would also be learning from just the wealth of wisdom that both of you carry. And I absolutely love the privilege of even being here, to even receive from your graciousness. I want to once again thank the convener for inviting me to be a part of this conversation. Right before I hand over to Aniakan, I hope that I'm still in good place to do this. In just 60 seconds, for Elizabeth and Kehinde, before I just pass the baton back to Aniakan, just final words on this call. Just speaking to everything that we've talked about as we unveil 2026 indeed, as we step into the year of lion, as we step into courage, as we take the opportunities that come to us, as we choose to volunteer and do it afraid, as we count down the days to December 2026, where we'll then have, hopefully another opportunity like this to just look back at the year we've had. What will be your final thoughts? What will be that thing that you want to leave with everybody on the call tonight that they should hold on to even as they press into the brand new year? Liz, I'd like to take you first.
Okay, I've said everything. I don't even know what else I can add to this entire thing, but just keep being the person that speak. I'm very big on affirmations, like, and speaking positive things to yourself, to your life. Use the scriptures, speak positive words concerning your life daily. Look yourself in the mirror. There's going to be times when you feel down during the year. That's for sure. There's going to be times when things might look like they're not it. But the truth is, things will always speak up. Things are not linear. I'm not saying that you should expect like 100%, but in all of it, just know that God is working. Because me, I'm a child of God. So at the end of the day, I will always have to put God in everything. At the start of this year, when God said, "Oh, own the global Lizzie as a name," I felt like, I mean, people have always said these things, in general, like, "Oh, global girl," all those kind of things, like in passing, but it was very strong, and I got like the confirmation in different ways. And I was, again, that thing about you being your first validator. I'm like, it's not going to be like, do I have to? It's like you're tall, you now call yourself tall something. I'm like, is it necessary? Like everybody already. But the thing is, when God says something, and being in tune with God, like, because at the end of the day, you're the only one that knows. You see how they say salvation is personal, like being in tune with God. Because I heard it clearly. Coincidentally, at that time, I now spoke to somebody that, a pastor friend of mine that, we just accidentally happened to speak that time. And then, like, he pushed it. It was like, what are you waiting for? Go and change it now. Go and change your handle. And it's like the moment I changed, like everybody had been waiting for it. That was enough confirmation for me, but I just said, listen, God says this thing. When God says, do this, listen. And I can't even, but I'm going to share a bit of testimony just briefly. In this year, I can't, like, things I did not even expect. I used to, oh God, please, I pray for fully funded trips. I pray for this, I pray for that. It happened. Like, I wouldn't have even expected it. But when God says do something, just listen and do it. Don't care about, but because me, I was thinking, oh, what's it gonna look like? Everything going globally, like, do you have to put that title? But I didn't put the title. It was just speaking it, like holding on to it. So if God says do anything this season, don't think of what anybody will say. Just do it. The thing is, you have to have that self-belief with God as your anchor before people will follow. So you have to, don't wait for anybody. Don't wait for person to say, okay, you have to do it or this. If you hear it and if you are sure, just go ahead and do it. You'll be shocked how many people are just waiting for you to come to yourself, just based off your obedience to God. So please, all I'm going to say is stay in tune with God. Listen. When you listen, whatever it tells you to do, please just go ahead and do it and just walk with God. through 2026, through the seasons that come. And also know that in as you're also becoming, as you're moving, there's going to be some days where things will not be linear. Don't expect that every day will just be this thing, but remember God's promise. Remember the conversation you had with God, because that's what's going to keep you going. It's not what any other person says to you. There was a day I was feeling really, really down, and the devil is funny. The devil will just want to use one thing. Hey, God, this is nice preaching. The devil will just want to use one thing to just make you feel like, and it's a lie. Don't now become an ungrateful person because of every other thing God has done. One thing that is just stressing you out. You now forget everything. That's what devil always like. Because devil hates is when you, hey, this person, their faith is strong. Devil want to shake you. Don't remember. Remember what PG had said. That's my pastor. For those people that are not in Elevation Church, he had mentioned one time that don't stay down for long. If you just feel down, just speak the word, speak, because even the Bible says the joy of God is your strength. So just speak the word and just pick yourself up and keep moving. Just listen to the time. Understand that, like I said, success is defined by you, define and have your let God feel you. So nothing is trying to be fill the space of God in your life, maybe one boy or one girl or one this thing. God has to be there first. For every other thing is an addition, right? Just have an understanding of who you are in God. Listen to God. If God says do this, do it. If you're sure it's God, don't hold back. Don't care so much about what the world will say when you're not listening or you're not paying or obeying God. And when things happen, document your journey, share your story, let people see the journey, let people know, because people also want to connect with your authenticity, not because people are going, you'll be shocked that people are going through like people are going through the same things you're going through, right? So sometimes people just need that person that will be like, you gave me room to share, you gave me room to be my authentic. But when you're also like in your corner, you're just keeping your story to yourself, keeping your journey, document it. You'll be shocked how many people also want to be a part of the community that you are creating unknowingly, unintentionally. So just be intentional about every day of your life. And being a superhero is small. Yeah.
Right, right. Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you so much. Kenny?
Thank you so much, my pastor, for this. So briefly, I'll just say two words. First, the intentional, and then second, the excellent. That's what I'm going to leave, anyone here, comes for myself as well, ahead of the new year. Be intentional about your journey, about your life, about the things you're going to do, and be excellent. I say this with all, sense of, seriousness, of course. I tell people, I mean, the platforms that I've had, the opportunity to speak at, right? I always tell people that the largest markets, the most untapped market that we have in Africa today, in Nigeria today, is still the excellence market, right? There's just so much mediocrity around in business, in life generally, even in relationships. There's just so much mediocrity around that if you put just little efforts, just little efforts to just be above that mediocrity, you would immediately stand out. Immediately you stand out, right? So in 2026, be intentional about your work with God, your work with other people, how you pursue your visions, and on top of that, be excellent. Let it be that whatever it is that your hand finds to do, you do it extremely well, right? You do it extremely well. Leave every conversation, every project, every task, committed to you. You leave it so much better, so much good that people always feel like they have a big shoe to fill, when you leave that position. And I think that is like the common thread, in the conversations that my pastor personally, has had, and of course Elizabeth. The fact that just going that extra mile, just doing things differently, has set them apart. And I think it's obvious. If you attend the Elevation Church or you've interacted with personally, anywhere at any point, you see that he oozes, excellence, right? Just and that's what is that you may not realize, you may not even know that that's a secret sauce, right? But yes, if you just put that much, that little attention, just that time to just do things just a little bit above average, you've unlocked, unlimited, unlimited, potential, unlimited, blessing and opportunities for yourself, right? So 2026, please be intentional, and then on top of that, be excellent. Do everything you find yourself, just do very well, please. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kenny. Thank you so much, Liz. Final words from me is just really simple. There's something that I usually quote every single time or every session that I have on the radio show that I host and produce. I would say three things. In all that you do, ensure to live life, love God, and be good to people. Living life is you being audacious. Living life is you, pursuing that goal that you desire, as with all the intent and great that you can. Living life is also leading yourself, right? And of course, there's the element of loving God unabashedly. There's nothing that you could do as a human being today if it doesn't revolve around God. There's a likelihood that it wouldn't last, right? And I don't say that to shoot down anybody's hard work. It's a personal belief that I have, and it's things that you can see the evidence of all around you. And then finally, just love people. Right. As much as we talk about God being the supreme being, 90% of the time he doesn't show up on earth as, a mighty wind or a dove. He would use other individuals to actually, orchestrate things that happen in your own life. And this part is also very important for me because um, we live in a world and time that people believe so much in just living life selfishly. They believe so much in isolating themselves. There would always be the space of protecting your space, defining who should be in your circle from time to time. But as much as you can, it is more than important to ensure that you also have a network that you can build. People are the most valuable resources on the face of the planet. People are the most valuable resources on the face of the planet. Time is valuable, yes, but if you have time and you don't have people, you really don't have anything. I met Liz, just the sample that she was giving. I met Liz, I think circa 2015 or 2016, and we've had a fabulous relationship since. The room that we were in back then, myself, her, a He's of MTV, and a bunch of other people. These are individuals that we still have some sort of connection to. And by reason of that relationship, if anybody has something they want to do today, you can literally just pick up the phone and just give them a call. Sometimes you don't realize how rich you are until you actually look through your contact list, right? And that's something that we should also cultivate entering this brand new year. No more being limited because you don't have the gift of men, for example. So really, just to punctuate everything I have said, and in addition to the fabulous, fabulous things that we've heard from Elizabeth Musa and Kendi Augustine tonight, from me, it'll be just live life, love God, and be good to people. I believe that I echo the sentiments of Kendi and Elizabeth when I say this. And of course, the convener for this event, that I wish you the most fabulous and the most audacious 2026 by God's very special grace. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. It has been easily one of the biggest privileges of my life. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Presley. That was thank you, thank you, thank you guys. Please can I see your emojis, just your reactions so far? Can I say it? Can I say it? Can I say it? Can I say it? For me, it's all love, actually. All love. Thank you so much for leading this conversation, the heart of this panel session, for the questions that you asked, and of course to Lizzie and Kende. Thank you for sharing really from the experiences, for inspiring us. I've taken down lots of notes, aside my summaries in the chats. I have my notes already full. Thank you for making it practical. Thank you for sharing from your lives. Really, I'm grateful. I'm glad that, I got to, sit with you guys to have this conversation. And thank you too to Adura. Thank you to, every other person who has been a part of this from the beginning. No, I'm not, wrapping up, but yeah, we're gradually winding down. I just want to ask if anybody has questions, questions they want to ask is a particular person, a particular panelist. Does anybody have anything they want to maybe as an addition or, something to further buttress? Anybody? Anybody wants to say something just before we wind down completely? I see we have Princess Emmanuel. Oh, sorry, Princess Samuel on the call.
Please, I would like to, sorry
Right.
to interrupt. I was trying to look for the notification, like where I was going to raise my hands up. So I didn't want to lose out on the opportunity. That's why I'm muted.
It's fine. Please go on.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Hi,
Can you all hear me?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So first of all, I'd like to say this is a golden opportunity I do not take for granted. Like I've been loaded. My network got interrupted in between during Pastor Presley's conversation. And I met him when he was anchoring the conversation between Ms. Lizzie and Mr. Kende. So what I would like to say is, this is just like, this is my second time on the program. And for short, I'll say I've been blessed. I've just been blessed. I've been edified. My spirit has been lifted. Let me say, my spirit man has, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a sycophant, but that's the honest truth, and I believe you can agree with me. So I'd like to share this, my own little nugget towards the end. And I'll say I've gotten some confirmations from God through this conversation, which I would like to work on furthermore before we go into the new year. So as at 10th of December, currently I'm speaking from Ogun State. Yeah. I don't know if that matters actually. So as
Yes,
at
thank
10th
you
of
for sharing.
December, thank you. I was an active member. I'm an active member of Tech Church, the Elevation Church, even though I'm more into the online church now due to distance. So back to what I was saying, a word dropped in my spirit on 10th of December, that second Wednesday. Can you hear me?
We can.
So
Keep going.
it's like a mantra for the new year and planning to the new year. It's called divine orchestration for strategic positioning. Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, we did. It's right
Praying
on.
for divine orchestration for strategic positioning. And it's just been moving me in my spirit. I've just been trying my best to communicate with as many people as I can. And I'd like to say, I believe, I don't know, I don't want to assume you all understand that, but I believe you understand what I mean. That's God's hand, and that's what they call God's hand in action, putting us in places that we do not even stress before we get the opportunity while we do our own part. And with everything I've heard, especially from Mr. Kenny, I didn't know it was, I'm sorry, I'm not belittling him, but as in, it was so deep. Everyone that spoke today was very, 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 very apt and very, very, I don't know what to say, but I've been blessed. So what I want to say is that as we go into the new year, I want us to pray for divine orchestration for strategic positioning. When I was in primary six, my class teacher used to have the saying called, to become the extraordinary, you have to go the extra mile. And it's something that resonates with me in the past few weeks towards the end of the year of things happening in my life. And I can see the difference. And to be honest, the Holy Spirit is the greatest cheat code you can ever have. If you have the presence of the Holy Spirit and you submit to the will of the Holy Spirit in your life, then I think life will be easy peasy. And in conclusion, yeah, because of time, thank you very much, Aniakam. In conclusion, I'd like to say we should have because I joined Hallelujah Challenge this year, even though my health does not allow that. And there's this prayer point I picked from it saying that the word of the Lord is the final authority over my life. Any other utterance, any other utterance made in the past, present, or future ceases to be valid henceforth. So that's a prayer point we should pray, very important. And I grow in the hearing and knowing of the voice of God and submitting to the will of God. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing, Oluwatosin. Thank you for, even wrapping up with that affirmation, which of course Lizzie mentioned earlier too. Thank you for buttressing. Thanks. Sylvia Ehi, Princess Samuel, Michael Adebayo. Anything to ask? Anything to ask? Anything to add? Okay, that will be going, and gone. Alrighty. Thank you. So I'm just going to invite the convener, Adura, to just give a final note, and then we bring it to a close. Adura.
All right. All right, thank you, everyone. To the panelists, thank you for, such insightful, talks, and sharing. Of course, the question and answer time, apt questions, and, the answer was, mind-blowing. And I was just thinking, I wasn't even feeling like, I'm the convener. I just felt like, oh, I'm a participant because I mean I was just thinking through and I'm seeing the chat, even people jotting down their key points. So thank you. And of course to everyone who joined the RAEY Summit 2.0, well done. I'm sure you of course have had a good time being part of this conversation. To tell us more, the RAEY Summit is not just where you come in to just listen to voices, but you have to take action. As Kenny was speaking, you have to have people you report to, people who follow you, or people who hold you accountable. And that is all, that is what the RAEY Summit is all about. It's not just about you listening, but indeed taking notes and taking action on those notes. As we wind down, I will just be sharing. I'm sharing my screen now just for some brief announcements. Yes, very brief. I know we spend the whole time here. So yes, of course, as you know, this is the RAEY Summit 2.0, and just to take you back on what has been done, this year. If you remember the RAEY Summit, this was 1.0, the maiden edition, and of course, this was an event I conveyed. Sometimes this year for high school students. Look at the lineup of speakers, and this year, we already started preparation. It's coming bigger and bolder, and of course, we had the Glowfluence talk, which was a conversation I created, and going forward we'll be having some sort of that monthly. Yes, the global influence conversation, and of course this is the RAEY Summit that we are doing right now. Also, so yes, now we'll be having day 2 of the RAEY Summit, which will be coming up January 1st. Of course, invite everyone. You can just to take you through the lineup of speakers. We'll be having Ogbolo, Michael Uba, speaking to us. He's one of the keynote speaker, for that day, and I will also be speaking. And just to give you a clue of what my topic is, the topic is "You are a hero." Yes, so you are a hero. If you really want to know what that means, yeah, get in and get everyone attend to come in. And of course, Michael Oba, he has been like my hero since I've been young, watching him on TV, as a comedian that he is, as a movie star that it is, and he's still, in the light. And we'll be bringing him on the 1st of January 2020, since he will be speaking to us. Yes, so come in, prepare to really listen. And of course, we'll be having a spoken word minister by Mary. So yes, please do well to come in, Mary Matthew. And yes, this is a tax, more like a webinar that has been put together, happening September 3rd, 2026. If you are in Nigeria, you don't want to miss this. Nigeria is, creating a new tax law. So yes, there are many speculations, going around, about it. But yes, this is where you come in to really know how this tax law can benefit you, and how, you can use it to grow your income and even grow, everything, in your investment and all of that. And of course, this is the IQ company. What is putting all of this together is the company I founded called the IQ company, can be known as the Intellect Quest company. And what we are is that we are your knowledge partner. So please, wherever you see this logo, for everyone who have joined in our programs, we have your database. You will be getting emails from us going forward. We are putting a lot of structures in place, to really be your knowledge partner. So yes, project this brand, and of course, do well to follow us on social media pages, the IQ company. And of course, this is the IQ community. Yes, there's a community called the IQ community, where all what we do, all the knowledge resources, are being drummed in. So yes, you want to get into the community, the group, the link to the group will be dropped soon. So yes, there you have it. And of course, yes, this year 2025, I intended to to author quite a number of books, but there's quite a lot of things on ground, and I was able to author this No Excuse, Your Life, Your Responsibility. So if you just go on Google and search Adura Migba, No Excuse, you're gonna see the link to download that on Seller. Yes, so and you can also reach out to me to get a copy. It was launched June 2025. So yes, I mean, it's still fresh, it's still my baby. And of course, there are many other books, lined up, about 6 books that I'm working on. So yes, get ready for all of that. So yes, that is it from me about all of the things. Thank you so much for joining the IQ seminar. Yeah, thank you for joining the IQ Retreat 2025. It's been a pleasure having you, and of course, look forward to day 2, which is January 1st. Have a good time, and bye from Adura Migba Olayinka.
Thank you so much, Adora. Thank you for that closing remark. Thank you from myself as well for having me host this session tonight.
And oh yes, thank you so much to our host. Thank you. You did an amazing job hosting this. Yes, you did such a great job. Thank you, and thank you to everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Adora. Thanks once again. Thank you to our panelists, Elizabeth, Kende, and Presley, and to every other person who joined, both here on Zoom and on YouTube. Thank you for being a part of this. Our next leg is on January 1st, same time, I think 6:30, 7 p.m. Nigerian time. And if you're not able to, this is wishing you a very, very beautiful, prosperous